commencing the lecture of Rajendra Kerkar, I would like to request Sri Dasarath Padanji, if you won't mind anything, then say a few words before starting this program.
नमस्कार. आजचा जो कार्यक्रम आहे तो माझे मित्र डॉक्टर दत्तगुरु आमोणकर आणि पर्यावरण प्रेमी राजेंद्र केरकर यांना आपण सगळेजण ओळखतात. यांच्यामुळे हा कार्यक्रम इथे आयोजित केलेला आहे आणि समोर जे अनेक या कार्यक्रमात सहभागी होण्यासाठी उपस्थित राहिलेले आहेत त्याच्यात आमचे उपाध्यक्ष श्री गोरख मांजरेकर, पौर्णिमाजी केरकर, मधु गावकरांना ओळखतो, दुसरे नेने, हे सगळे लोक इथं उपस्थित आहेत. त्या सगळ्यांचं मनापासून स्वागत करून मी थोडक्यात या पर्यावरणावर बोलणार नाही, पण राजेंद्रच्या बद्दल एक दोन शब्द सांगणार. राजेंद्र केरकर हे पर्यावरण क्षेत्रात फार मोठं काम करतात. गेली अनेक वर्ष म्हणजे साधारण मला वाटतं 84 पासून मी त्यांना ओळखतो. मी 84ला विधानसभा निवडणूक लढवित होतो. त्यावेळी राजेंद्र केरकर माझ्या मदतीला साखळीला आले होते, मला आठवतं ते. त्याच वेळी मला वाटतं आत्ता मी तरुण भारतचे संपादक सागर जावडेकर हेही होते. तो काळ, त्याच्यानंतर माझ्या शाळेत सुद्धा राजेंद्र केरकरने एक दोन वेळा फार छान असे कार्यक्रम आयोजित केले होते आणि ते सगळे दिवस मला आठवतात. आता राजेंद्र केरकर 84ला पासून या कामात, म्हणजे त्याच्यापूर्वीपासून ते होते, पण या बाबतीत मी माझंही सांगतो की माझे मित्र मोहन नेने आणि त्यांचे जवळचे आणखीन एक मित्र, त्याचं नाव आता आठवत नाही, मोहन नेने आणि मी त्यावेळी म्हणजे साधारण 1978 मध्ये त्या जंगलात वगैरे फिरत होतो. तिथे एक नदी आहे आणि त्याच्या पुढं गेलं बाबू जोग म्हणून, आठवतं तुला नाही? बाबू जोग, आम्ही त्या सगळ्या ह्याच्यात फिरत होतो आणि राजेंद्र केरकर त्या जंगलाची आपल्या पायाने सगळी पायमल्ली करत आहे. अनेक वेळा ते तिथं जातात आणि त्यांचं मी फक्त वाचत असतो वर्तमानपत्रातून येणारं वगैरे. आणि त्यांचं काम फार मोठं आहे पर्यावरण आपलं सांभाळण्यासाठी. आता पाण्याचा प्रश्न आहे वरचा, त्यावेळी तो प्रश्न नव्हता. आता पाण्याचा प्रश्न आहे. कर्नाटक आपलं पाणी तिथं वळू पाहत आहे. हे सगळे प्रश्न राजेंद्र सतत जनतेसमोर, आमच्यासमोर घेऊन येतात. आणि यासाठी जे पर्यावरण प्रेमी आहेत आणि सगळ्यांनी राजेंच्या या कामात योग्य ते त्यांना साथ दिली पाहिजे. काही राजकारणी लोक सुद्धा मला राजेंद्रला एक सांगायचं आहे, तुम्ही सांगणार ते, की काही राजकारणी लोकांच्या याच्यात न जाता, चटकणी लोक असतील, परंतु राजेंद्रचा हा मार्गच वेगळा आहे. पर्यावरण राजकारणी लोक त्याचा फायदा घेण्यासाठी राजेंद्रने आपला फायदा कुणासाठी, आपल्या राजकीय पक्षासाठी किंवा पक्षासाठी करून घेता कामा नये. त्यांनी स्वतःचं काम नेहमी करावं. संपूर्ण गोव्यातली जनता पर्यावरणवादी हे राजेंद्र सतत सहाय्य करेल. मी राजेंद्रच्या बरोबर नेहमीच आहे. मी आणखी जास्त बोलत नाही. आमचे मित्र दत्तगुरू आमोणकर हे माझे मित्र आहेत, फार जुने मित्र आहेत आणि कला अकादमी ते सदस्य सचिव कार्यक्रम प्रमुख होते. आमची तशी फार जुनी ओळख आहे, फार जवळची ओळख आहे आणि माझ्या गावाच्या शेजारी ते आमोणे गावचे. तर मित्रांनो, कार्यक्रम लगेच सुरू होणार आहे. मी जास्त वेळ घेत नाही. तुम्ही या कार्यक्रमात सहभागी झाला, आनंदाची गोष्ट आहे. पण इथं जे होणार ते आपण सर्वदूर पसरूया. धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद सर. औपचारिक कार्यक्रम सुरुवात करच्या पयलीं हांगा जे सगळे तुम्ही गर्दी नासतना दर्दी जे रसीक आयले आसा मुद्दाम राजेंद्र केरकर सरा खातीर तांच्या वतीन आमी सगळ्यांचे फुलां दिवन स्वागत करूया. सगळ्यां पयलीं हांव आमचे रिजनल डायरेक्टर इंदिरा गांधी नॅशनल सेंटर फॉर आर्ट्स श्री दत्तगुरू आमोणकर हांच्या लागीं मागता की तांच्यांनी फुलांनी पयलीं आमचे जे चेअरमॅन आसा, चीफ गेस्ट आसा दशरथ परब हांकां येवकार दिवचो. तसेच इंदिरा गांधी नॅशनल सेंटर फॉर आर्ट्सच्या वतीन हो बारीकसो तांचो सन्मान आणि तसेच स्मृतिचिन्ह. सर धन्यवाद. सेक्रेट ग्रुप ऑफ गोवा हो विशय तांच्या खातीर जाला. राजेंद्र केरकर आपली पादत्राणां झरोवन आयज आमकां कितें तरी फुडल्या पिळगे खातीर तांच्यांनी सांठोवन दवरला अशें राजेंद्र केरकर. हांव मागता सरां कडेन तांचो बी पुष्पा उच्चार दिवन तांचो स्वागत करचें. तशेंच इंदिरा गांधी नॅशनल सेंटर फॉर आर्ट्सच्या वतीन हे बारीकशे शाल आणि स्मृती चिन्ह घेवन आपलो एक बारीकसो सन्मान तांच्यांनी आपणावचो. धन्यवाद. हांव मागता राजेंद्र सरां कडेन की तांच्यांनी आपल्या व्याख्यानाक सुरवात करची.
Chairman of Institute of Religious Praganza, respected Dasharath Parab sir, the Regional Director of Indira Gandhi Cultural Center, Dr. Dattaguru Amonkar, the dignitaries present in the conference hall, the journalist and the lover of sacred groves. I am very happy to present before you a lecture on the sacred groves of Goa. My first slide takes you straight away to the sacred grove situated on the bank of the river Madai in Sattari Taluka in the lap of the Western Ghat. I am blessed to be born in the town of Bicholi, but after 5 years, my parents took me to my ancestral village, Keri. Keri actually is the Kannada word, means water tank. And I was wondering why my village got the name related to the water. So I was from age of 5 roaming in the jungle and spending the childhood in the shadow of Western Ghat. It was wonderful for me. One side there was a hill named after tiger, Wageri, and another hill named after peacock, Mollegar. And my house is situated in between two rivers. One is Kurti, originating at the foothill of Wageri, and another Valavanti, originating at Ambekol in Karnataka, in Chorla Ghat. So, living in such a wonderful, lush green environment, my ties with the nature developed. When I was studying in primary Marathi school, I remember a poem, Deva tuji kiti, Sundara Akasha, Sundara Prakasha, Surya Deto, Chandra Sundara. So that the poems, or during the month of the Paush, I got the opportunity to listen from our old woman, the melodious song of Dhalo, आषाढ महिना कार्तिक महिना मालनी पुनवे आनंद झाला गे झाला झाल्या बरा झाला सखया साधा घाला गे दारातलो आमोबाई तवराने डोले गे. The transformation of the nature, transformation that is taking place in surrounding, was establishing my linkages with the nature. And that is why when I was told about the deity Ajoba, and I started wondering why people name the sacred grove in the name of Ajoba, I started thinking, and then one day when I reached on the top of the hillock where one of the biggest sacred grove of Goa situated, I understood why people called the area as Ajoba Chirai, because Ajoba is not the grandfather, he is unseen Holy Spirit, and people believe that he protects the forest, and because of the forest I came to know that in the village we are getting water. So jungle was related with the jal, and then because of this you can see the silt from the hill was coming and settling down, and that was enriching the nutrient of the soil. So then I got understand the relationship of jal, jungle and zameen, and then I came to know that because of jal, jungle and zameen, the jivan is there, the life is there, and that is why from my childhood I was loving the sacred grove, the Ajobachi Rai, or the almost, my village is blessed by 11 sacred groves. Baldechi Rai, Komachi Rai, Biramnachi Rai. And then I started visiting villages. And when I got the book of V.D. Vartak that opened my eyes. The centenary volume published in the memory of Dr. V.D. Vartak, articles written by Dr. Madhav Gadgil, and then my search began. And I started reading various books. D. Brandis, the first Inspector General of India, recorded that India is blessed by such a beautiful sacred grove, and it is the heritage. The Francis Buchanan, or in 1752, on the bank of the river Narmada, the James Pope saw the sacred grove, and he, through the painting, immortalized the sacred groves. In India, we have Kavi Kulaguru Kalidas, Bhasha Sumukhya Divya Madhura Girvana Bharati, what we say. So that if we read the Ritu Samvar or Vikramarshya or Abhigya Shakuntal, all these stories given to us by Kavi Kulaguru Kalidas, their main place of happening was the forest. In India, people love forest because they consider it as a tapovan, the place where one can sit and enjoy the peace of the mind. And that is why I got attracted toward this subject, and I visited the nook and corner of this land, and then I went to the various places in India, took part in the discussion, debate, conferences, and my knowledge about sacred groves was enriched. As Indian, you should feel very proud because our forefather gave us excellent institution, community conserved area in the form of the sacred grove. And these sacred groves, you can see, sacred grove is not only the patch of the forest protected in the name of the folk deity, but here you can see so many things are there. Culture is there, religion is there, rituals are there, and this is the Gajalakshmi, the goddess of Jal, Jungle and Zameen. And if you look at this Gajalakshmi panel, you know the Gajalakshmi is not a deity connected only to the Hinduism. If you read Jainism or if you read Buddhism and go to the Sanchi Stupa in Madhya Pradesh, backside you can see the Gajalakshmi, or you go to Andhra Pradesh and see the Alampur, the goddess, mother goddess, where worship of the mother goddess takes place. There at the entrance you can find the Gajalakshmi panel, or you come to any places in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu or in Maharashtra, you will find this deity, Gajalakshmi. And in Kushya, on the bank of the river Madai, one can see the biggest panel of the Gajalakshmi of Goa. So here you can see so many things, the history, archaeology, and also our cultural beliefs are connected with the sacred grove. And this deity is inside a small patch of the forest. Once upon a time, the sacred groves were protected, but when the religion became weakened, the hold of the religion on the human mind became weaker. So during that time, the slowly agriculture and horticulture continued to create lot of problem for these sacred places. And in Kurshe, the sacred grove, now you will find only 3 or 4 trees are there. Once upon a time, it was totally forested area, but now you can find the areca nut, the coconuts replaced it. So this is the beautiful sculpture which tells you about the cultural history of Goa. Next slide. So this is the map prepared by my student who is the teacher, Subodh Naik. which gives you an idea about the sacred groves. So largest concentration of the sacred groves in Goa presently is in Sattari Taluka. Because Sattari Taluka is the taluka from the new conquest which came under the Portuguese rule for very few years. Until 1912, the last revolt of the Sattari of Goa, that is More Rani revolt, took place in the year 1912. And that is why people who were very much afraid that their goddesses, their sculptures would be desecrated, that is why they kept all this sculpture inside the groves and groves were protected. So this map gives you rough idea about how many sacred groves are there, but the largest concentration of the sacred groves one can see in Sattari Taluka, and I have told you that my village where I am presently residing in Keri, there are 11 sacred groves, and there are very few villages in Goa where you can see 10 sacred groves are there. But at least one sacred grove you will find in most of the forested villages of Goa. Next. The culture, how you can see people come very close to the nature. We have different types of the fairs and festivals in Goa. For example, Dasra festivals and the worship of the pitcher. Pitcher is nothing but it is the kumbha. So it is the respect for the procreation. We in India consider woman as a symbol of the fertility, and that is why worship of the kumbha takes place. And during any cultural religious festival, we have the tradition of worshipping pitcher, and pitcher with the water is considered as the symbol of the procreation, nirmiti, and that is why on the first day of Navaratri festival in Ashwin month, you will find the sanctum sanctuary, that is the Garbhagriha of the temple, the 9 different varieties of the food grain are sprinkled, and on the Mahanavami night or on the first early in the morning of Vijayadashmi, these sprouted grains are removed and women having husband use it for decorating the head. So this tradition tells you, or the Ravana actually is the deity which represents the finest particle of the clay. Mati kahe kumar se, tu kyo rondhe mohe, ek din aisa avega main rondhungi tujhe. So the finally the clay is supreme. You can take birth in any religion, Hindu, Muslim or Christian. Finally, Dahan or Dapan, we will become one with the soil. And that is why respect for the soil was very important, and Ravana is considered as the representation of the male element, whereas Satir is considered as the representation of the female. So when Prakriti and Purush come together, there is the cycle of the birth. So Dasara festival represent all these things. Next. In India, if you go to the Indus Valley civilization, today Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are in Pakistan, but there are some sites on the bank of the Pravara river in Ahmednagar. If you go to Daimabad, there you will find some of the artifacts belonging to the Indus Valley civilization discovered. So worship of the snake was there in India, and since the primitive period, the human beings were worshipping the snakes, and the snake, especially the common cobra, that is Naja, zoologically what we call, it looks very beautiful snake and resists the food. It is in the defense mechanism, but it attracts the human being, and human being were surprised by the power of the cobra. So that is why they started worshipping the cobra. And the same tradition you can find during the Naga Panchami day or Ananta Chaturdashi. And then we have the worship of the stars. In Goa, we have the tribal community like Gowda, Kunbi and Ved. Among them, the festival is there. Katyo Baye, Katyo Ge, Akashi Udyalu. The twinkling stars in the sky became the topic of their attraction. And then the largest venomous snake, king cobra. The name, I don't know why the snake is given name cobra, because it raises the wood. It has no relationship with the cobra, and the common cobra is also the food of the bhujanga. The name of the snake in Kannada, Marathi and Konkani is bhujanga. And this bhujanga today coming near to the human settlement, that is because of the Goa's identity, Kaju. The Kaju, the plantations of the Kaju, human beings are taking to the sacred groves, taking to the forested area, and that is why problems are there with the habitat of the king cobra. Next. In the month of the Bhadrapad, when on the 4th day, the celebration of the Ganesh Chaturthi takes place, after 10 days, if you visit the tribal belt of Goa in Kanpon, Kepe and Sange, there are some hamlets where you can see Kudwa Parab is celebrated. So, they goes into the sacred grove. In the village of Verle, for example, in Sange, in Netravadi Wildlife Sanctuary, early before the celebration, early evening, they will go into the forest and they will remove roots, shoots, leaves and bring it together, and then they make part of it, and the number of families in the village distribute, and then early in the morning they will take the decoction made from this medicine. It is called Kodua Parab, bitter medicine. So this was the tradition, and then we have the tradition of the Baras. Before starting agriculture, after the monsoonal rain is over, there is tradition of the Baras. So all these are festivals related with the agriculture. Next. We have the tradition of the Matoli. Matoli means the wooden canopy over the head of the Ganpati, wherein the seasonal biodiversity, different types of the plants, roots, shoots, all this get the place in the Matoli. So there are almost 400 items having ethnobotanical value, medicinal value, tied, and if you make the study, it is an informal way of educating people about the medicinal plants, medicinal herbs. Next. Next. So why people started protecting sacred grove? The main reason for protecting sacred grove was not only the forest, but all the creature, the living as well as non-living things are given shelter, asylum in the sacred grove. So you will find description in Indian mythological scriptures. When Prabhu Ramchandra and Sita discusses, Prabhu Ramchandra shows to Sita the Bhutiya Manasparma. Bhutiya Manasparma is a beautiful flowers, palas. And he tells Sita, look at the palash. Got it? So that is, the beauty of India's tradition. Ramayana, Mahabharata, or any scripture, you find a description about different types of the forest. So forest is a place where we enjoy the peace of the mind. Forest is a place where you can see the biodiversity. And here you can see the largest butterflies of southern Indian subcontinent, the southern birdwing or banded peacock, or the middle you will find the state butterflies of Goa, Malabar trinum. Then you can see the chocolate pansy or Tamil lesbian, the endemic butterflies, and then the blue tigers. All this beauty one can see in the sacred groves. So the state butterflies of Goa, Malabar trinum, have only two colors, white and black. But if you want to enjoy the beauty of this butterfly, then go to any evergreen forested area. Why Goa government declared these butterflies as the state butterflies of Goa because it is the indication of evergreen patches of the forest which are now fast disappearing. So in the name of the butterfly we can protect the forest. Next. Different types of the flowers, Parvata, Dongara, Fulala, Mogara, Deva Tuja Nagara Utsav Jala. If you go to Mandur, that is Dongri, during Intrus, people celebrate Sigmo festival under the guise of the Intrus and Mogri or the Surangi scented flowers, and we have a sacred grove in Sarvan village totally dedicated to Suranga, Mimosa, Ilinji, or downward you will find the Kangala, Ovla. Kangala, एका समुद्राची तिरी पा कांदळीची झाडं कांदळा कुठे गेली 600 अंदाज. Canals are the mangroves. They are silt trapper, cyclone trapper, flood controller, and one can see them in the sacred grove. One can see the aura inside the sacred grove, and the indicator of the presence of the water is done by the Nag Champak, the Champaka flower. So all this, for example, if you go to Mulgaon, where Shantadurga Pomburka Pekarin temple is there, in front of the temple you will find a sacred tree in the form of the Nag Champak. So Nag Champak is the indicator of the presence of water, and wherever these trees are there, people establish their village. The best example you will find in the Sattari Taluka, the village situated above the 800 meter above the sea level is Surla, and the third settlement of the village people established where there was Nag Champaka flower. Tree was there because people were aware that they will get the water throughout the year. So our forefathers, they were aware about what type of the trees standing, and they get the knowledge about the hydrology. Next. So Vatsapko, Waghati, Bhutya Manasparma, or the Kadamba, or you can see the Ashok. Ashoka is a Saraka indica. It is the, if you want to enjoy the beauty of the Saraka Ashoka during these days, then the best place is the sacred grove. If you visit any sacred grove, for example, if you go to Valpoi, 3 kilometers of Kopade, where you can see Devachi Rai. Inside this Devachi Rai, you can see the Ashoka tree. Why the tree got Ashoka name? Because it is really the remover of the grief and sorrow. People were aware about it, so that is why it is advised that before committing suicide, if you sit under the Saraka indica, your pain, your agony will disappear under the tree. And then we have the wild varieties of the Crocenta, Aboli. So nature is very beautiful, and Kadamba's flowers, if you visit Goa, in various places you will find this Kadamba. It is considered as a sacred. Next. Every after 7 years, so 2022, during the monsoon season, if you come to my Western Ghat, bordering Goa, Maharashtra and Karnataka, you will see this Karvi Corolasa. So it is the indication that now the period of 7 years passed and tree will have the blossom. This shrub will have the blossom, so beautiful, and the honeybees get the knowledge about the bloom of this flower, and they will collect the honey and they make big honeycombs. And most of the Terminilla species during this time, you will find most of the sacred growth full with the honeycombs. And in search of the honey, you will find the sloth bears are there in the sacred growth. So this relationship is there. So if you want to see the sacred grove inside, this flower inside the sacred grove, the best place is the Sulla, Devachi Rai, where you can see the blossom of the Karvi. So Karvi, the best blues you can see in this Sulla. Next. people were enjoying different types of the elements of the food from the sacred groves. Sacred groves provide them not only the medicine but also the nutritious food. Fungi, for example, Termitomyces gomanthicus, the mushroom that are found on the ant hill. You know, the ant hill is the representation of the water. Wherever waters are there, you will find the ant hill. So ant hill during the monsoon season bears the mushroom, and mushrooms are, you know, the sugar free and provides you the different elements of the nutrition. So these are the different types of the fungi you can see mostly in protected in the sacred grove. So Goa government in 2019 declared Purvati Rai in Surla village of Bicholim as the first natural heritage site of Goa. After doing study in the angle of ecology, archaeology and sociologically, Goa State Biodiversity declared this as the first biodiversity heritage site under the Biodiversity Act of India. So if you visit this sacred grove in the mining belt of the Sulla, you all will be surprised to see the variety the sacred grove there has of the fungi or mycology. Next. The wildflowers. The wildflowers, if you read the poems of the William Wordsworth or in Marathi, Baba Borkar or Balkavi, our world is enriched by these beautiful poems. So mostly during the monsoon season, that is during the Shravan and Bhadrapad, if you visit, then most of the sacred groves or the plateaus there are full with the different types of the wildflowers. Next. So orchids. So this orchid, the first orchid you can see, it is on the highest mountain of Goa, 1027 meter above the sea level is the Sosogad. So on the Sosogad there are some patches which are considered as sacred by the people, and most of the sacred groves you will see during the monsoon, Sitechi Vedi, Draupadichi Vedi, orchids, Amri. Most of the Terminalia species, they showcases you the orchid diversity of Goa. So that is why the importance of the sacred grove is more. Next. Amphibians, for example, if anybody want to study about the amphibian, the Sicilian or the Malabar gliding frogs, or you can take the example of the toads, you will find they mostly take shelter in such type of the sacred grove. So sacred grove is the shelter for these amphibians. Next. So snakes are considered as a, very harmful. We have the concept that all snakes are harmful, but the snakes also showcases beauty. So middle snake, for example, is green white snake, Haryali. The variation in the color, if anybody want to enjoy, then the best place to visit such sacred grove is Satranchi Devrai in Satre village inside the Mahadai Wildlife Sanctuary. You will have to do the hiking, and then when you reaches the top, I showed the volunteer almost a quarter century ago. They were very much interested in studying about different types of the viper. The hump-nosed speed viper, first time they got opportunity to see inside the sacred grove of the Satre Devrai. So here you will find the pit viper snakes. So this is the Malabar pit viper, and that is the bamboo pit viper, and middle is the green white snake. So both are the venomous snakes. Malabar pit viper, mostly it is a nocturnal. So when we were going in the jungle during night time, I got opportunity to click the photo. And then the bamboo pit viper, considering them as a poisonous, the human being is more poisonous. than all. So if you take bite of your close associate, you will find the person will die if the proper treatment is not taken. So we always look at the snake as a poisonous, but for them, if you, whatever they are eating, it is digesting because of the venom. So venom is very essential for them. Next. So if you go in the jungle, wherever sacred groves are there, for example, if you visit the Sulla in Satari Taluka, you can see this the state animal of Goa, bison, or slender loris, where people call it as a one manus because it is a primate. Then the presence of the big cat, katandar, or the mouse deer, which is rare, endangered, they are protected inside the sacred grove. Next. From 2002, Goa government was telling no tigers, but the presence of the tiger was proved in 2013 in the jungle of the Wageri at the foothill of the Maulichi Rai. So Pishachi Rai, Maulichi Rai, these are the sacred groves there, and this is the Mahalaviche Pani, where the first photographs of the tigress was taken. So now we have the two female and one male tigers in the forest of the Mahadev Wildlife Sanctuary in Goa. Next. So different types of the birds, for example, the state birds of Goa, bulbul, yellow bulbul, or you can see the rahu, or you can see the frog moth, or hanging parrot. Only parrot found in India is hanging parrots, Vardal hanging parrot, or the fish eater, kingfisher. So this beauty of the different types of the birds, for example, if you are interested, then the best place is, I was very much enthralled to see the state birds of Maharashtra when I visited the Nagnath in Mede. Nagnath today, if you visit, people are going in a large number for Mahashivratri festival. But when I first visited that area, I got opportunity to see the state bird of Maharashtra, Harod. So the beauty of these birds, the best places are the sacred groves. Now, why people consider forest as a sacred? Because people think that it is related with their custom, tradition, and that is why if you go to the village, the prehistoric village on the bank of the river Dudhsagar, Shigaon, you will find this 12 stone, Barajan. People worship them as a Barajan. Then if you visit Pisulle, there you will find the Maringanachi Rai. Maringanachi Rai, the Maringan is considered as the deity, and most of the sculptures of the Maringan you will find the drum is there, and this is the on the top you will find the Satulichi Rai in Gaudungri in Kanpur, and then another on the meeting point of the Sangay, Kepe and Kanpur you will find this Paika Panda. So Pai, mostly the tribal community consider their folk deity as a Pai, and there are sacred groves protected in the honor of the Pai. So this is Paika in Mangal village of the Kepe Taluka. 140 million years ago, when there was no human beings on the earth, what was there? There was a forest, and 140 million years ago forest is there in Satari, Sangay Taluka of Goa. 3 forest areas are in Satari Taluka. This is one very accessible near to the road in Maoli village of Sattari, 7 kilometers from Walpai. If you visit this, you will find inverted type of the roots. So Myristica swamp vegetation, dominant species inside this, and then you will find different types of the, for example, Sholab Khurdo, my village in Sattari Taluka, or if you go to any villages you will of Sattari, you will find at least one tree is protected in the name of the folk deity. Next.
So this one is at Mololi village.
This is Sholab, this one, fourth one is a Sholpo Khurda.
No, this third one, this side. This is at Mololi village.
This one is Malwa. Both are from Malwa. Myristica swamp vegetation, inverted type of the root. And that is, this is the Sholpo Khurda in Sattari Taluka. Mining village. Today mining is stopped there.
This is Mololi, yeah.
Yeah. Nirankarachira.
Is it accessible?
Yeah, very near to the road. Just you have to walk for 1 minute and you reach inside the forest.
Sattari, okay.
And there are no restrictions, just only you have to walk from the road and enter it. Next. So pandanus, you know, the pandanus vegetation is very important, and mostly water resources, wherever water resources are there, pandanus are there. Halata dolata ayale ek kegdiche bonago. We have the Fugdi song on kegdi mud. So kegdi flowers are very scented flowers, and in Koparde, 3 kilometers from Walpai, if you visit, you will find this sacred grove, and flowers during these seasons are auctioned, and whatever expenditure for the temple is made from this money. So it is famous for this pandanus, and you can see the size of the tall towering trees. Now 5 peoples are there inside the Huipan in Vergling in Netravadi Wildlife Sanctuary. Once upon a time it was a mining dominated village, but in 2006 the mining stopped there, and because of that you can see the trees like Pakshi, Bhausula and Jarma, very huge trees. So it is wonder of the nature. Next. Now one of the beautiful protected wildlife sanctuary, and then you can see the largest concentration of the Semicarpus catholicanaensis trees in the world. So largest concentration of the Semicarpus catholicanaensis trees are there in this forest, Brahma Karmali. The Brahmadev actually was from Tiswadi Taluka, but when Alauddin Khilji invaded his commander, Malik Kafur invaded Guwahati, there was no way left for the devotees to lift the sculpture of the Brahmadev, and they took it and went in the direction of the Western Ghat, and they reached on the hillock, where the hillock was full with the Makaranga pallatata trees. The village name was Chandiode, but the village was full with the thirst quenching water. So the Gauda person was tired, so he drank the water, and then he ate the food, and then he slept there, and in the dream the Lord appeared and told me, the person, not to take me further in the deep forest. This is the best place for me, and you will find they are connected with so many things because they provide ecosystem services to us. So this is, if you drink the water from this area, then you will find why people consider this forest and protected it. And she loved, so the deity decided to reside in this area. So she took shelter in the forest. The sacred grove got the name Pejari Deviche Rai. So goddess Pejari is there and temple is there. So it shows you how whole of the Sulla village is covered with the mining, where you can see such type of the lina, creeper Then if you go to Dharbandoda Taluka, in Dharbandoda Taluka, you will find the Khaspon. So here, Ashtadikpal, sculpture Kasarpal. So near to Kasarpal, this place is there, Vadabal. So once upon a time it was full with the banyan tree, but today you can see Mimosa ilinji tree, that is Ovalache's heart, and few more trees are there. So people, and it looks like the Shivlinga. So if you climb the Western Ghat mountain and go to Mangeli, from Mangeli, if you look at the Kasainath hill, you will find the whole hill it looked like the Shivlinga. And in 2001, when I was in the jungle, in the area of Tirari, the Chandranath Bhutanath temple, inside the Chandranath Bhutanath temple, there you will find the meteorite was fallen, people believe, and it is converted into Somakanta Shila, and the earlier temple was built in such a way that on the full moon day, every full moon day, but there are even single tree is considered as a sacred grove. In kind of Gudga China, Terminina Bellarica, these are the Gudga. So Gudgas when became dry, people will take it and then hammer with the stone, and they will remove the nut and eat. So eating few is of the nature, and they were not cultivating rice in Goa. They were not the rice eater. They were eating what were termed by the British as the coarse food grain. And today, most of the iron, the folic acid, we get from the food grain which human being brought from the Africa, finger millet. Next. Semicarpus catalicarensis trees, I educated it, the principal of the forest forest college from Silsi visited Dr. Vasudeva, and their study was done, and our the botany department also was there. So such type of the unique trees you can find inside the sacred grove. So sacred grove is that is why unique and need to be protected. And if you go to the northeast part of India, Nagaland, Mizoram, there also you will find if you visit the Ibrampur, there also were protected in the name of the Gazipiri brand in Ibrampur village on the bank of the river Kulwa. Next. So if you go to the border areas, for example, if you want to see the Saraka indica forest everywhere, then the best place is the name of the tiger. So tiger in Goa, I got almost more than 30 to 40 temples dedicated to tiger god. So largest concentration tiger temples of Goa is agriculture called Kumeri cultivation. So you can see the Kumeri cultivation still is in vogue. So now lot of restriction put under the Forest Conservation Act. So because of this Kumeri cultivation, at least in the name of the god, we should protect